you guys want to learn how to achieve this awesome haircut, then definitely stay tuned and watch the full video. What's going on YouTube? Steven, the Salon Guy here, and today I have George as my model, and we're doing a haircut tutorial on his hair, and he has really a very unique situation. So he had a disconnected haircut before, where this was shaved up to about right here, and then this was all combed over as a pretty severe disconnection. So I said, let's create something different where I'm gonna show you guys how to actually take a haircut like this, because I know many of you guys have haircuts like this, and actually connect all of this and focus on leaving some length in throughout the front here, but really piecing everything together, even the back here. The back of his hair here is disconnected, and this is much longer. So this is a perfect opportunity to kind of show you guys how I would approach this, and if you are looking to create a new haircut based off of something like this, this is gonna be the perfect video for you guys. So I'm ready to go, let's get started. All right, so what I've done is I've completely finished using the clipper right in this area and the back and the other side. And now I'm gonna start to use scissor over comb, and I'm gonna do everything manually now because I really wanna work the shape in, because we're gonna be going shorter into longer, and I wanna maintain some of this as best as I can. Still cropping it down a bit, but I've noticed when you do things by hand, it just, especially on this texture hair, it really just shows off the haircut much better, and also from the styling and when it grows out too. So follow along, we're gonna speed through this, but I'm gonna do scissor over comb from here all the way right into this area, and then we'll come back when we're ready to move on to the next step. So now I'm working in through the top back part of the head, and I'm going to start in this area, and I'm going to actually connect this, which as we mentioned before was kind of the longest point into the back, and it was disconnected from the top. So what I'm doing now is, and this is great to learn if you're either a barber or a stylist, or if you want to get your hair cut, but the key is to connect this part right in through here, right, which we're starting to do now with this. So we've got these shorter pieces here, and then this has to be connected together. So the best way to do that is what I'm gonna do right now is we'll comb everything straight out from the head, and it's gonna be fairly easy to see because the hair is gonna just kind of jump out at you, and you'll be able to tell the longer piece, which is right in through here. So that longer bit right there is what we connect and match up together, and then that is kind of our starting point to where we pick up for the rest of the haircut going throughout the top. So a lot of it is just connecting the dots and piecing everything together, and connecting it rather than it being disconnected. So once you have this worked in now, which we do, this completely looks like it's all part of the haircut. There's no separation now. Now we can then work towards the top back of the head and then towards the top. So now I want to say we're kind of like home free in a sense, where now that we have this all working together and seamlessly, the haircut itself will be much easier. I'm looking at it, and his hair wants to grow this way, right? This part here. So this grows down like this, which is common. So sometimes people call it a swirl or a calic. And then this part wants to go forward this way. So the best way to approach this and to style it for the most part is to have him wear something that does kind of go a little bit more forward like this. Just way it's much easier for him to style. So what I'm doing now is I'm gonna work in horizontal sections, working all the way towards the front. And I'm cutting this to where it's probably about, I'd say 2.5 or so inches right from this area. And as we get towards the very, very front, we're gonna go shorter into longer here, because I did mention I want the front to be kind of like the highlight of the hairstyle. And then once we work towards the front, we'll be able to then connect the corners. So remember, there's the top, the corners, and the sides into here. And I like to cut every part of the head so everything connects nicely together. So let's kind of skip through this. When we get to the very, very front here, we're gonna comb this all straight up, and we're gonna kind of slightly over direct back a little bit this way, because when you pull back the hair, it actually leaves it a bit longer. If I were to go in like this and cut this all short, that would be a big no-no, and he'd lose a lot of the length in through here. So I want to maintain some of that. I do want to cut it a bit, but I want to maintain as much of the volume and length in through here. So that's why we're going to comb this a bit back this way to create some over direction. All right, so now that I've completed the top right into here, as I mentioned, we still have the corners and the sides. So we have this that we have to connect, and then we still have to work on the other side to make sure that's all connected, because this is still very, very disconnected on this corner side right into here. So we have to make sure we can connect that right in through this area, which is going to be fun. So let's work in through the corners, then the sides, and then we'll come back to this side.
What's the matter with you? Money isn't everything. You think so?
Okay, so now is this part right into here where we are going to connect this area right into here and the top. So what we have to do is we have to keep in mind that we're leaving this kind of like as the longer area right into here, but we want to kind of match up what we have on this side right into here. So we have a little bit of room to kind of work in, and what I want to do is I want to comb this all down, and this is the kind of the best way to do it is any parts like in through here that you want to leave a bit longer, just kind of brush those out of the way, and then you kind of work your way forward. So let's take a nice little horizontal section right here, almost like we are creating a part, but what we're doing is we're kind of working up the head shape this way. All right, so you can see this area right into here, and all I'm doing now is I'm combing over this way, because there's the disconnected part there, and now we're combing over it. And the best and most simple way to take this on is when you lift up the hair with your comb, you're gonna see the shorter bits right into here. So that's when you cut it right to that one shorter guide underneath, which is already there. So as you can see now, we've connected this area right into the top pretty much in one shot. So as we comb this through, bam, now we have no more disconnection, and it's blended in. So now the next step is to work this in through the tops. Remember, we have the sides, the top, and the corners. This is the corner part right here. So I'm going to stand right in front. There's that one little hair that needs to be cut so it's all connected, and then just like that, with a few little snips, now we have all of this now working seamlessly in through the head shape. Now I'm going to start combing the hair down. I'm really going to start working the hair in, because now I'm seeing what it's doing. I'm seeing how it's reacting. I can now start to kind of really finesse this area, and we're kind of home free at this point. So this is, again, going to be a lot of scissor over comb stuff, really just working the shape in. You want to comb the hair in as many different directions that you possibly can, just because that's going to ensure a good balance throughout the haircut. And that's what I'm doing now, is I'm kind of combing it towards this way, I'm combing it back, I'm really making sure that like we're going to get a really good shape from this, because I want this haircut to last and I want it to look good, you know, right from the start, but also, you know, 5 or 6 weeks later, I want this still to have a really, really good shape to it. All right, so here's a pro tip when just kind of going through the entire haircut, is that you want to make sure that you're really combing through the hair in all different ways. So you want to stand, you know, this way and do a vertical section, and then you want to, you know, come across the top this way and do a horizontal section. You want to really check the haircut from all angles, because that's going to really help with the longevity of it, and it's also going to help just overall with the way it looks. You know, because if you have some areas that are unbalanced, it's really going to show up in the haircut. So the best way to do it is to kind of put the hair in all different situations and different styles just by manually kind of working it through, and then you'll be able to see how it's falling so that no matter what happens, it's going to all be connected together and look good. So that's kind of what I'm doing now, is I'm just putting the finishing touches on all of this. I'm probably gonna end up going back in and doing a little bit of dry cutting and some texturizing just to create a little bit more texture and remove a little bit of weight because he has very, very thick hair. But this is basically, we're kind of home free now. But the key to this is to make sure it's all balanced, and definitely do not skimp out on doing this. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go with my blending or thinning shears right into here. And the best way to do this is to really just lightly go over using scissor over comb, and you want to look for areas that are a bit heavy or areas that you feel could use a bit of softening up. So that's what I'm doing right now. And because, as I mentioned, his hair is relatively on the thicker side, so I'm only going to use this in parts where I think it's going to be beneficial. I don't want to remove a whole lot of weight from his hair. So when you think about when you're using blending shears or thinning shears and the hair is very, very thick, yes, you want to remove some weight, but you don't want to go so crazy that you're removing a lot of weight down into here, so where you're making the hair at the scalp much thinner. You want to really just remove weight where the hair is not moving, or if it needs to be softened up in certain areas. So you want to constantly kind of comb through and look for those areas and then go over with the thinning shears. So once I'm done with this, then what we're going to do is go back in throughout the top. I'll do some point cutting and some really cool texturizing techniques, which I'll show you, and then we'll go down and clean up around the ears and the nape area. But as you can see, there's a lot that goes into this type of haircut. And this is just how I cut hair. I was explaining to George before that even though he's a model for my haircut video, I'm treating this as if he's a client. So I'm gonna give him the best haircut he possibly could have, at least from what I could do, so that he really appreciates what goes into this. So I want this to look good for at least like 6 to 8 weeks or so. Even though it'll get a bit longer, it's gonna have amazing shape and texture to it. So now for the texturizing part, I'm gonna use my regular cutting shears, and the best thing to do for something like this is you wanna just run your fingers through the hair and feel for parts that, or even look for parts that are a bit more kind of solid like this, and you can almost not see a whole lot of texture going on. And the best way I do it, and I don't suggest doing this unless you're experienced, is, and I've done this in so many of my videos, where you use the tips of the shears and you just kind of use the thumb and you're kind of pointing into the hair this way. So let's see. And I'm doing these little chomps right into the hair. I'm not going down towards the scalp. I'm just literally feeling for areas that I think could use a bit more softening up and some texture, okay? Or you can cut over the top this way. But I like to go this way because I can rake the hair back and I can also point cut at the same time. And I've been doing this for many, many, many years. It's something that I think really works well. You can also twist the hair a bit, and you can do little chomps into the section like that. And the texture I'm looking to create is more towards like the mid shaft of the hair strand and towards the ends. I'm not looking to go down to the scalp to remove any weight or to add some texture. I just really want to have this where it's really going to enhance the haircut and have it look its best. And also texturizing supports the hairstyle too. Like it's going to help give it a little bit more volume when you're styling it. And there we go. As you can see, even when the hair's wet, just by me doing this and kind of working my hands through it, you can see it's supporting the style. So to be able to do this when the hair's wet means that we're off to a really, really good start. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my trimmers, clean around the ear, the nape, and then we'll move on to the styling part of it. All right, so now I'm going to blow dry George's hair, and you're gonna see instantly, just the way I blow dry it, how the shape is gonna take form, and then I'll pick a product and we'll style his hair. All right, so the blow dry is complete, as you can see, And this is literally with no product whatsoever. And I'm just running my fingers through it. And you can see the texture and the volume. We've got a lot of really, really good shape. And as you can see now, what I've done is I've completely taken the focus from being back here, and now it's up throughout the top here. So now we've got this amazing, fully connected haircut throughout the entire back and the sides. And especially in this part and through here, let's take note of this part and through here, whereas before it was fully disconnected, and this piece was like coming way down here. And now look what we've done. We've completely connected this, and I think his hair's in great shape now. So now we're going to pick out what product we're going to use. So with his hair type, he literally has the perfect hair type. He has a lot of hair, thick hair. So we can go with talc powder. A powder would be really, really good for his hair. Or we can use pomade if you want more of a sleek look. But I want to go with Clutch XL, which is going to be good for his hair. So let's get that and apply it and start to style it. All right, so with Clutch XL, you probably take a little finger scoop like that. You want to apply it to your hand, your palm, just like that. And you're going to start to work it in. I like to use my finger, and then I'll start to use both palms to really warm this up together. The key to this product is you want to make sure it's fully worked into your hands. This way, when it goes into the hair, it's not going to be so of a wet type consistency, because it is kind of a clay wax almost. So now that it's really worked into my hands, you almost want to go to where you like more than what you normally do. I feel, okay, now it's kind of good, kind of a grippy texture to it, and it's not so damp anymore. And the good thing about this is that you work it into the hair, and it's almost got like kind of instant results. And once you kind of get it worked in, you can kind of just set it and forget it. So with his hair type, what's happening, as you can see, it's really, really picking up the texture perfectly. And this allows me to work the shape in throughout the sides here. And once the style's in, especially with this particular product, you kind of work it in, and then you leave it as is and let it kind of settle in, and then it's done. With this type of product, if you keep working it through too much, then what's going to happen is you may start to kind of take away some of the product and put it back into your hands. So that's why I'll work it in, leave it, and then we're good to go. All right, guys, so here is the finished haircut, and let's do the breakdown now. I used a 3 3/4 guard right in throughout the back here, and did that to about right in through here. Then I used the cordless magic clips, and I used like a 4 guard, and then opened it, and then went to a 5, and then I did mostly scissor over comb right into this area to really soften up the shape. And again, a couple of things that I want to do with this haircut was, one, create a connected shape from here into here, which we did. This was fully disconnected before. Also on this side of the hair, again, take note right here, this used to be completely disconnected, and we actually went in and now we blended the whole thing. So it's fully tapered in, as you can see, which is really, really nice. And then the top, we cut shorter to longer, starting off in the back here, working our way towards the front. Cut it to about maybe, I'd say 2 inches the most, right in through this area. And then this bit right in the front is probably about 3 to 3.5 inches the most, because I wanted to make this the focal point of the haircut. Blow dried it, then went in with some Clutch XL. He has a lot of hair, so I had to use a good amount of it. And then went in and created some texture in throughout the style. Use a little bit of my locked hairspray, and here we have the finished result. All right, YouTube, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you guys thought of the haircut, and click the bell so you're notified of when my videos go live. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time for more videos with the Salon Guy.